We need to take back tech with the HexBox. We have a problem where we have very little privacy. Have you ever noticed that something just breaks randomly? We have no control over how our things work. Someone can randomly update our app and it completely changes how it works. Most of it executes in a faraway data center. So I would propose that we need ownership of our hardware and an understanding of how the software works. This is your tiny little foothold into that world. This is how you get started with taking back tech. The HexBox can now back up your files to Google Drive every single day. Take a snapshot of your cloud files at a small scale, and soon it will be able to do more, and maybe it'll be able to push back and forth to different cloud services. The point is, you can get started here, and the Hex orchestration engine contained on this box, and also to be open sourced eventually, allows you to see deeply into what is happening and have full transparency. The ultimate goal is a server in every home and a fab in every basement. That's a very ambitious and long-term goal for PageKey. But in the meantime, let's get into this devlog. I'm going to create a simple test graph here. I was just messing around and made a little bit of progress, but now I have my bearings. Create the test graph, run it using prompted inputs, did some refactoring just after that. Display outputs on a label. These three are huge, and then we can start adding more, like using a label as an input, using an input field as an input, adding a select dropdown, and hydrating on load based on, like, you could load some network data and then hydrate it right into your screen. That would be cool. So if we do all these things, we'll have a lot more interactive views. Okay, really quick update here. I wrote the simplest possible graph, just adds X and Y and outputs Z. And it uses a node that adds A and B and outputs C. So the provider is super simple as well. The view, as we can see on the left here, has a label and it has a run button and the inputs and the outputs. If I hit it, it prompts for X, I give it a 1, prompts for Y, I give it a 2, and then we get the results. So we ran a graph from this screen here. It's not perfect. Why is this hard-coded? I don't know. Probably need to mark this as a user-provided variable and only prompt if it's not hard-coded and all that stuff. But at least we ran a graph from this view screen, so that's a baby step, and we'll keep stepping. Good morning, big progress. Check this out. We have our app here. As you can see, it's rendered over here. We haven't changed too much. We deleted the outputs instead of setting like an ID and all that nonsense. We basically just have it say graph hexmod test.main z. So like we're saying the graph that it should check for and the output of that graph that we want in this label. And this thing runs and then stores its results in a dictionary so that anybody can access it. So all these different labels can just identify the specific graph outputs they want. They can use them in different places. They can appear anywhere. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run X is going to be 5, Y is going to be 6, 5 plus 6 is 11. So you see it shows up right here and it's being looked up just like this. So this is the beginning of interactivity. Let's go. Okay, that was pretty quick and easy actually. Added some text field rendering. So these guys now show up and you can put values in. I'm going to stop here for a little bit because wiring the state here and then making it accessible is going to get a little complicated. Okay, this feels kind of huge. Check this out. Without even having any pop-ups, we get answers now. So this is starting to look like a real thing, like a real application almost, and yet it's only less than 30 lines of configuration. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're running graphs in the background. Eventually we can have that transparency. You know, this is all logged behind the scenes. So very exciting stuff. Going to keep going though. All right, we're flying through my checklist from earlier this week. We have a little drop down now, and as you can see, it totally works. If we try adding 1 and 1, we get 2. If we try adding 1 and 3, we get 4. So next up, the only thing left on my list is to hydrate from a request on load. So basically, without hitting run, can I go get some data and display it in the drop down? That's the last piece, because then we can have a list of folders to select from here for our backup setup. So let's see if we can get that wired up. Okay, check this out. Hopefully this is the last piece that we need. If I refresh the page, we have random numbers being filled into the drop down of Y here. Now how's that working? In the view, we specified that the choices array comes from graph hexmodtest.getData. And that is also defined up here as an effect of this view. What does it mean for an effect of the view? That means that I used useEffect in React to loop through all of these graphs, load them up, and store them in the graph results array that's kind of hidden behind the scenes here. Maybe that should be exposed as something you could see. But anyway, this guy loads and the result ends up here on your screen. And then if we say 3 3 and 17 is 20. We're good to go. 3 and 68, 71. So it all works. So this allows us to load this data dynamically. This could be loaded from Google Drive or something like that. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's basically it. Here's the get data function. It's just returning 3 random integers. So we get our 3 random ints, and they get filled into the form, and then we can run it. Okay, that piece was surprisingly easy. Check this out. We're getting closer to a real kind of app. So anyway, 20 plus 4 still works. It's 32. If we hit more info, it takes us over to the about view, which I just defined. Super simple. And we have the back button, and the on-click handler basically has a view now, if you want to define a view, or it has a graph. I'm trying to find the other one. Here it is, the graph. So either you define view or graph under here, and everything's nested under graph. That's specific to graphs. Otherwise, the view just sends you back. So we could go back. We could go here, we could go here, we could go here. So we have now the ability to have infinite screens navigating to each other, which is super cool. That really opens the playing field to a lot more. For views are done, so we can move on, think about what's next. Also, I had an idea to have HexMod news. What if you had this thing to browse the news for you, so you don't have to deal with all the ads? It'll just scrape the page, deliver the news. Should be easy to do, so let's do that in a couple weeks maybe when it's ready, or now. But first, backups. All right, last order of business for the moment. Splitting up the backups app just a little bit. I added a run and a schedule view. They're basically the same, they just have a back button. But let's go ahead and take the schedule button, and we're gonna put that over here in the schedule view so that that works like that. And this one can become on click. We're just going to, actually these, the inputs should be nested under graph. Outputs, I don't even think needs to be there anymore. This can become ID, so we're just breaking everything left and right. That looks good. And then we have view here, which view should be hexmod backup dot schedule. And then similarly, I think we're gonna do it down here. We're gonna go run backup now. That's gonna go to our run screen, and we're gonna take these 2 buttons, and we're gonna just end the result as well. We'll just take that and throw it over in the view here, guided backup, run, pop this in here, fix these handler inputs and outputs. Okay, this looks good. Now let's refresh the page. Okay, perfect. Schedule backup. We can go back, and then we have this, and then we go back. And I would just say, let's tweak it slightly and add a little label here. Label, text, use the button below to schedule a backup. After that, we can start thinking about how do we get a drop down with the folders, but it's a problem for later. Back, schedule, back, run, back, and does this still work? Ah, it does. This is beautiful. Okay, massive step forward here. This is very different structurally now than it was. We have this schedule backup view working. If we go back to the home screen, you'll recall that we can just click on this, and this will show your token, but it'll censor it just a little bit. If this is blank, then you have to go through the authorize process, which we've seen plenty of times already. And once that's set, you can hit this little load folders button, and that will cause this to populate. If I refresh the page, actually, it'll be blank at first, which is kind of bad. And then you hit load folders, and it'll load. There's a bunch of nonsense in here, but I'll click my back me up folder. It's much easier than having to remember the exact name. I type backups for the local path, and I'm going to say 2155. It scheduled that cron entry, and if I go over here, cron tab -L, you can see it's scheduled for 55 now. My backups folder's here, and I'm gonna keep an eye on it and see if it actually works in 2 minutes. See if this backup works. Lots of progress on making this a UI. It's so much better to see steps rather than having to do a bunch of pop-up windows in a row. So I'll take that as a win. Of course, this needs to be a 4. Oops, but yeah, making progress. Let's see if it works. I guess if there's anything that this made me realize, it's that subgraph calling needs to be a thing. So the view is getting increasingly complex, which is fun. But if we go look at the couple lessons here. First of all, look at these auth things. They're very similar. These should all be in the same provider. And then in the graphs, we should say which function within the provider to run, instead of having just a single run function, so that we can group these together because they are like functionalities. But anyway, also we will see basically what's going on here is the auth function now takes care of the pop-up for the Google login, all that stuff. And then it writes that refresh token to a secrets path. And if we look at that here, it's just writing the refresh token into a JSON file in your current workspace in the HexMod backup folder. Whoa. I'm not going to show mine, but it's literally just a very short JSON file. And then we read that same file out. It's very simple logic. And we'll see in like 3 places, the reading of that auth file gets repeated all over the place. So actually, I don't know if these guys actually need, oh, they do need the client ID and secret to get the access token. Anyway, we're starting to use the graph functionality well here. We're reading from the disk to get the persistent state of that logged in token. Eventually we can do that more securely, I'm sure. But we are also using the same provider for these 2 nodes here. We're using getEnv, which is very simple. And this is what I was kind of envisioning at the start here, is that everything will break down to something really, really simple like this. And then you can reuse those building blocks at the higher levels. And then that's what's going to allow you to audit everything. So anyway, so that's being used here. Basically the same block though, to get from the locally stored refresh token to an access token that you can actually use with the API. This exact block appears here when we're scheduling the backup. Actually, we might not need this to schedule the backup anymore because it doesn't actually need the access token. That's besides the point. We're also doing it when we run the backup. Here's the exact same thing. You'll notice getting the access token. And when we load the folders, we do it here too. So this would be an excellent subgraph call. And then the same logic doesn't get repeated, and it's amazing. And you can, drill down infinitely if we can have subgraph calls. So that's where I think there's a lot of power to be had. But let me stop rambling and get back to work. Okay, as proud as I was of my little getEnv thing I was doing, I kind of refactored this a little bit heavily. Now I'm dumping those environment variables. I could pass this in, but it would just add so much complexity. I just get the environment variables, dump them to the file, get the refresh token, dump them to the file. This is not super secure, but it's needed because otherwise run backup won't have access to them, because remember, these are only set in the UI, for now at least. So then good old run backup runs, and it grabs the auth read stuff out of the JSON file, gets an access token, and goes to town. Same thing. Schedule doesn't, look how short schedule is now. All it does is writes the cron job, which is really nice. This token looks the same, the token showing and loading the folders, very similar and much shorter. Auth read, and that's it. No environment nonsense there. So good progress. I keep saying I'm going to stop. I think I'm actually going to stop for today now. All right, we're back here again with lots of good check boxes. We listed the credentials. I crossed out as effect. Who cares? We got the folder list. That's a big win. We have separate screens now, which is great. We stored the credentials in a file. It'd be nice to have multiple methods in a single provider file, but we'll get there. That's really not blocking anything, so maybe I'll skip that for now. I think the big thing is going to be testing this with someone who's not me, so maybe that's tomorrow's thing. Now go to, we're going to update you, so go click in the bottom right on that HexMod system update and hit execute. We'll give it about a minute here and come back when it's done. Okay, hit back to dashboard. Now hit the top one, schedule a backup.
This is different.
This is different. Now hit show token. I think it's going to be blank. Copy the code, paste it in there.
You ready?
Yep. Okay, it saved it. Now hit load folders. It's a little clunky, but it's better than before, hopefully.
Look at there. So pick the one I want.
Yep. Now go down to the next field and just say backups for the local destination. Yep, here it is before it runs. And yep, in 2 minutes it should change.
2 minutes later.
So it didn't work, so we'll have to dive into the details here. So if you hit Windows R, we're going to figure out what went wrong.
Windows R.
Yep. Okay, hit enter. All right, and now hit Control R and type SSH. That's perfect. Hit enter. Type hex. Okay, and now type CD space backups. Type ls. Hit enter. Okay, nothing there. Okay, what I want you to type is crontab-L. So, okay. Oh, can you type date and hit enter? Oh, I got the time wrong. Britain time, not GMT. So let's try scheduling again, I guess, with 01. Yeah, go ahead and refresh. Still nothing, huh?
No.
Maybe if you close the window and reopen it, it'll help. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Hey, woohoo.
Glad we solved it.
I just followed up and bing, we had a successful backup. So what a great stopping point for this week. Head over to tryhexbox.com. You can join the waitlist and get weekly info on progress and be the first to know when HexBox is available for purchase. Thanks for watching. See you next week.